Hello again, welcome back to my channel. This little tutorial is all about the bust dart and how to move your bust point, because if we are going to use bust darts in our garments, they might as well be at the most flattering position for our body, because what is the point of having a bust dart that is way too low and optically looks very strange, or worse, who's been there? A bust dart that is way too high and gives us the illusion of a very droopy bust. So let's get started. Okay, so before we go ahead and work on our pattern, we have to establish a couple of measurements, and those measurements are going to be taking on my in-house model. Her name is Judy, and she is going to be our model, and we are going to establish what her the distance between her bust points is. And another way to say bust points is really where your nipples are, and then what that distance is. 18.5 centimeters. Whatever her bust point is, or whatever her measurement is uniquely hers, just like yours is uniquely yours. Do not compare yourself to anybody else, because that's what makes us female. We're all different. Another thing to keep in mind is the bra that you have underneath, because you do want to, one, wear a bra when you're taking this measurement, and two, consider what kind of bra you want to wear under this particular garment, because if we wear anything that uplifts and unites the girls, everything moves up. So our bust point will move up as well. So if you're, having an easy day and you're taking these measurements when you have a very unpadded bra, and then suddenly you've decided you're going to wear this top with a very padded bra, your bust point is going to move. So do keep that in mind, what kind of a garment you will be wearing underneath. And then once you've established what kind of undergarment you're going to be wearing underneath, measure the distance between your bust points. After you've done that, what you want to do is take a look at your design that you are working on and that you're going to adjust the bust position on, and take a look at where the neckline sort of starts here. So the pattern that I'm going to be working on is my milli dress, and it starts pretty close to the neck, and it's a big V. So I know my measurement is going to start right from there. If you're working on a top that maybe is more of a scoop, then obviously you're not going to start measuring there, because you have no pattern there. You're going to start measuring wherever your pattern starts. So, do take a look at the flat, or if you are lucky enough to have some online resources where you can see other people wearing the top or dress that you're making, just to see where the shoulder seam starts, and then take your measurement from there. So because mine is a V and it starts really close to the neck, I'm going to take that measurement right from the neck, and I am at 25.5 centimeters. I'm going to take note of those measurements, and now I'm going to carry them over to my pattern.
Okay, so here is my pattern that we're going to do the dart manipulation, where we're going to move our point either up or down. So this is from my milli dress, but obviously I'm not using the whole entire dress pattern, because for efficiency I just cut it at the waist. So before we move your dart, whether it's up or down, the first thing you need to do is definitely mark your seam allowances. So you do not want to include your seam allowances in your measurements, because they will affect where you fall, where your bust point will fall, especially if you have really big seam allowances, like maybe 5/8 of an inch. You're taking that 5/8 of an inch out of your measurement if you are not measuring from the edge of your seam allowances, and instead you're measuring from the edge of your pattern. Two different things. Also, if you remember in the previous segment, we measured the distance between our bust apexes, our bust points. And my measurement was 18.5. So I took half of that measurement and then measured it out here, which gave me 9.25 centimeters. Now, I love this guideline, because when you are going to be measuring your bust point, then you know that you are going to be falling someplace along this line instead of kind of sort of being in no man's land and not knowing where to land your tape measure. So that's the way I do it. So also keep in mind, because this dress is cut on fold, I do not have a seam allowance to mark here. If your dress or top does have a seam allowance at center front, do mark it before you measure out your half of your bust point. So let's say with this, let's change markers. Let's say with this one, our bust point actually falls higher than the original bust point on the dart. So let's say it falls at, let's say it says 24 centimeters, whatever your measurement is. Let's just say it's higher. So I would just mark it. Then I would take my ruler and redraw the dart legs to my new bust point. So like so, again here. And if you notice when I do redraw them, there you go. So my bust legs went up towards my brand new bust point. And this is the original one. So obviously we're not going to or sew our bust dart all the way to our bust point because they would look really, really huge. So what you're going to do is take a look at where your original bust dart is. And along there, just measure also the opening here of your new bust dart. And so here I'm 1.5 centimeters. So 0.75 would be the middle. And then I would just redraw those legs again so that now my bust dart is the original length as it was intended for the pattern, but the bust point has now been moved to where I need it instead of where it was. So we're not done quite just yet. What we need to do is tape up our side seam, and we are going to tape it up, and then we're going to close the dart and just take a look at what is happening on our side seam now that we've changed the angle of our bust dart, or any dart for that reason. So I'm just going to tape it up both sides. And I am going to hold the apex and fold the dart. When you do fold your dart, make sure that the dart is folded towards your waistband the way you would press it. There you go. So if you take a look right here, you can see that my side seam is right here, and then the other one starts right there. So we are missing about 0.5 centimeter, which is common when you are moving the angle of your dart. So what we're gonna do is take a French curve and just redraw that line. And what you want is something really nice and smooth, no jaggedy edges, no bumps, no nothing. So I've just gained a little bit here. You can't quite maybe tell because my marker's quite thick. So while our bust dart is still closed, what you want to do is cut your paper like so. And just continue cutting. You're not cutting anything off. You're actually adding a little bit. So there you go. So if you can see, we added quite a bit here to the side seam of your dart. Your dart is nice and pointy now. Here are my dart legs. Here is my dart point. And this is what it looks like when you move your dart point up. Now, let's take a look at what happens when we need to move our dart point, or our dart point down, and it's lower than what we had on the pattern. So once again, bust point falls on. So let's just give ourselves a guard line, and let's not forget to also mark our seam allowances right there so that we are not including them in our measurements. So let's say with this one, this is a little bit on the curvy side. Let's say our bust point falls well below the pattern's bust point. So let's say we are going to fall, let's say we're going to fall at 28 centimeters. We're going to mark it on our guideline. So this is where my bust point is. This is where the original one is. If you can see, we fall someplace in here. What we're going to do now, if we were going to redraw these lines right here, you can see this line falling down. So going down towards the ground, towards the waist. And I think the optical illusion would be, if we just redrew these, would kind of make it look like our darts are falling down and our maybe bust is droopier than it needs to look. Whenever I adjust the bust dart going down, I don't like to redraw the legs. I like to just reposition them all together. So the way we're going to do that, we're going to use this as a straight edge, and you're going to draw a line right to the tip of your old dart. And then we're going to draw our brand new angle. So what we could do is sort of go parallel to this angle right here, or you really, there is no science behind it. You can angle this dart as much as you want. The French darts literally like go right to the waist. So there is no right or wrong. But I do love when we have a really nice angle and the bust dart is kind of pointing up towards the bust, because then it does give us the optical illusion of a bust that sits high. Who doesn't want that optical illusion? So I've just drew my guide point. What I'm going to do is cut through here. I'm going to cut this dart out actually, and then I'm going to cut from here to there. So let's get cutting. And I'm going to draw a cut, along my guide point to, but not through, this line right here. And I'm going to cut here as well to the point, and then on our guide line to, but not through again, so that we want this sort of hanging on for dear life, but still hanging on. And then we're just going to cut this dart out so that we can see what I'm going to do. Okay. So now I'm going to take this. Oh, I need to cut it just a little bit more. And I'm going to close the old dart so that we move the location. Okay, so it looks like this. Tape it up so you can see what's going on. Like so. So we're not quite done here. As you can see, my side seam is just being a little bit wonky, and then we want to get our nice little dart point here. So once again, a little bit of paper. I'm going to tape it up, and we're going to redraw our side seam. Lots of tape if when you're a pattern maker still by hand. You're not doing it on a computer like that we do in the industry. And I think I will need a little bit more paper here. And once again, let's fold our dart. I'm just going to tape up the back up here. Folds nicely. Okay, so I'm just pinching the apex and folding our dart. Okay, like so, nice and closed. And we are missing. So here's my side seam, here's the other one, and then this one just kind of not quite sure what happened there. I might have, when I was redrawing my dart, I might have just got the angle a little bit wrong, because this should have been nice and flush. I'm going to tape this up because I really don't like. Okay, now with your dart closed, let's redraw this line. So you want nice and smooth, kind of like this one. So nice and smooth, no jaggedy edges. And then while your dart is closed, let's cut this, making things even. Okay. Lots of little paper. So there you go. This is your brand new dart. So now our bust point has been moved. All is beautiful. Obviously, we are not going to sew this dart all the way to our brand newly placed bust apex, because this dart would be huge. So what you're going to do is just take a look at where your previous point is. And because you've already folded this dart, that fold right there shows you where the middle of your dart is. So you're just going to carry that point down Give yourself a mark and then redraw your dart legs. And that's it. This is how you move darts. And now that you've seen me move the dart point, you might as well learn how to sew these guys beautifully, not in a straight line, in this video that is coming up next.